You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone.
Well, the triple option was no match for the eye of the Tiger as Memphis picks up a big conference opening win against Navy. We review the game, introduce you to new defensive coordinator Matt Barnes, and look ahead to a regional rivalry against Arkansas State. It's the Ryan Silverfield Show. Let's go.
The game is on.
The Ryan Silverfield Show is presented by AutoZone. When you've got car trouble, you want help from number one. So if you've got a battery problem, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And by Conway Services, the official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent chicken, just the chicken sandwich. RJ Young, technology solutions that power your business. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams.
The conference opener is in Annapolis. It's Navy. That's a tough task. But give a W to the Tigers. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin.
And I'm Jarvis Greer. You want to see the highlights? Here they come at you right now.
The Tigers seeking their first road win since week 2 of last season and their 4th consecutive win against Navy. Memphis gets on the board first, and Tim Cramsey went deep in his bag of tricks for this one. Seth Hennigan with the shovel pass to Caden Priestcorn for the 4-yard score. First career touchdown for the redshirt junior tight end. 7-0 Tigers. Hennigan showed off the arm strength all day long. Later in the first, dropping it in the bucket to Gabe Rogers. 41-yard gain. Chris Howard would kick a field goal, put them up 10-7 after that drive. The Tigers got it done in all 3 phases. Now 10-7 lead in the second. Navy going for the trickeration with the halfback pass, but Quindell Johnson is having none of that. The spectacular one-handed interception while falling backwards. So nice, you gotta see it twice. Second pick in 2 games for the leader of this defense. And Saturday was his mom's birthday. Great present for Mama Johnson. No doubt about it, Seth Hennigan was keeping cool under pressure all day long. 415 passing yards for the sophomore, 79 of them coming right here. First offensive play of the second half, he hits Joseph Skates in stride, and the Iowa State transfer is gone. His first score as a Tiger, they go up 20-7, now 23-13 with just under 10 to play in the fourth. U of M facing a 2nd and 22, and once again, Cramsey with the perfect call at the perfect time. The screen to Jay Ducker flips field position, picks up 37, and the Tigers are in business. And again, put the team on his back while the run game struggled for most of the game, but the backfield put this game to bed late. Just over 6 to play, Brandon Thomas scampers into the end zone from 6 yards out. His first score of the season puts the Tigers up 3 possessions, 30-13. Memphis is in the win column for the first time in 2022. 4th straight win against Navy, 37-13 the final in this one. Memphis starts American Athletic Conference play 1-0 and gets their first road win in a calendar year. Let's hear from QB1 and more.
It's great, seeing all the work we put in the offseason and during fall camp and, growing our chemistry. To see it come to fruition in a game, that's the best feeling. But there's some that I missed as well. So just need to try and execute a little bit better next week and continue to learn from this experience in this game and, take it to next week and games in the future. But just see those guys have success, it's a great feeling. Because, I know how much work they put in, and to see them make some explosive plays for our offense makes it exciting. And then someone asked me earlier, just to have different targets, multiple targets, have those deep passes, whereas, last year it might have only been Cal, put up 400 yards today. So, I guess that's positive.
It's great. It's great to always have a bounce back game, build off of, go ahead and grow, and then just keep it going throughout the whole season. Just being able to just leave that game in the past that we had last week. Just all we had in our mind is coming up. We would just go ahead and get this game plan going, as Seth said, just go ahead and go through the game plan, beat Navy, and just keep it going, because it's always good to get that first, because this was already a conference game too coming up, so we already knew this was big. That game was already just left behind, so it was good to go ahead and bounce back and start out with a good conference game.
College football is always a changing animal. and you've got a new defensive system. We've gone from 3 down linemen to 4. Exactly what does that take into account? How many changes are there?
I think it starts with the personnel, right? You know, anytime you go from a 3 down to a 4 down, now, oh, wait, now you need to have more depth, more defensive linemen. So you got to add more to the fold, right? Whether that was bringing in more high school players, you know, looking at the transfer portal, maybe finding guys that in our old scheme were outside linebackers. Now maybe they move in a little bit closer to the box and become a hybrid defensive end. And I think the unique thing about Matt Barnes' defense is we have the ability to do all, right? We don't just sit there and line up and just true 4 down and stay stagnant. Sometimes we can shift to a 3 down front. Sometimes we can take a guy like Jalen Allen, as you guys have seen in past games, and move him around and be able to plug and play him. So maybe it gives the appearance of a 3 down front, but it ends up in a 4 down structure.
The toughest thing about when you change coaching staff, especially the assistant coaches, position coaches, the players have somebody they got to get used to. Yeah, okay, the scheme may be a little bit different. It sounds great. You're standing up, you put a left hand down or right hand down, but still, from the player's point of view, that still is really, really something that really takes a little bit of time to get gelled.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you can sit there and say, okay, it's a new X and O, right? It's a new scheme, it's a new system. But you tie all that in, it's a different voice, right? A different way that maybe it's taught, a different way maybe it's implemented, maybe even a different way you're doing things at practice. If you're doing a drill one way because of this scheme, now all of a sudden you got a new coordinator, a new drill that comes along with it, a new way to hear certain things. So you tie all that in, it does take some adjustments, and it's part of learning on the fly. Obviously, you'd love to have successful coordinators here at Memphis and be able to keep them for a long time if they're having success. But that's the nature of college football. It's ever changing, and part of that came with this change in coordinator was a new scheme.
What is the hardest part of that transition in the scheme? Is it finding the shortest supply of college athletes at defensive line, or is it new techniques? What is the most difficult part?
Yeah, I think anytime you always want to have an abundance of defensive linemen. So, right, it's not like they're sitting there growing off trees and we can say, oh, we can go get these 6 guys that are 6'5", 300 pounds, and they can come play defensive line here. That's part of it, right? Make sure you're finding the right pieces to fit that puzzle of what you want to do. And then how does it tie into it? And, you know, the new scheme, being able to teach it and those techniques, because it is different. If somebody's been part of a certain scheme that we've used here the previous 2 years, right? That's muscle memory. That's time on task. That's a drill after drill after drill, really for, you know, over 700 days. Now all of a sudden you're coming in right before a season, and you could say, yeah, you've had almost 8 months of preparation, but it's still new, it's still different. Until you actually go into a live game action, it's a different world.
All right, let's get an inside look at how new defensive coordinator Matt Barnes operates.
I look at it each week. If you notice, we install more on Mondays because that's how game week will be. They're the beginning part of the week, big install. You go out there on Tuesdays, we used to call them bloody Tuesdays because Tuesdays suck. It's a bunch of missed assignments. And then Wednesday's a little better, Thursday a little better, Friday you ready to roll, Saturday let's get it. Yeah, good deal.
Just tell me what foot I need.
You have whatever foot you want up, just kill somebody.
All right. I like the way.
There you go. Honestly, I don't care what you do. If you're supposed to drop and you rush really, really hard, I'm going to tell you a good job. Do something really fast and really hard. There you go, Spence. Yeah. Hank. Here you go, Hank. I'm going to make a suggestion you wear a helmet today. I love it. Don't get me wrong. I like the throwback guys, but a helmet would go a long way for you. Hey, energy. Energy. You got me? Inspire somebody how you play today. Let's go. Defense on 3. 1, 2, 3. Defense. On the hop. Let's go.
Well, as I'm sure you can tell, Matt Barnes is a football guy. Coming up next, we sit down with him to document his journey here to Memphis. Stick with us.
You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone.
Welcome back to The Ryan Silverfield Show. Well, sometimes if you want to be the best, you have to hire from the best. New Memphis defensive coordinator Matt Barnes comes from one of the most successful programs in the country in recent memory, Ohio State. And as you're about to find out, his passion for football and what he wants to accomplish here are off the charts.
What a wonderful city this is. What great people live here. Salt of the earth, blue collar. Some of the best food you could ever imagine everywhere. We've got an awesome program here, a terrific culture established by our head football coach, Ryan Silverfield. Our kids are outstanding. It's the most fun I've ever had in coaching. It's been outstanding.
Coaching journeys are always interesting to me. So for you, Delaware Valley State,
West Virginia, Wesleyan College, but then all of a sudden you make this big jump up to a number of really notable Power 5 programs. University of Florida, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio State, all within a 6-year span before you land here. How do you sum up that journey?
You know, that's one of the cool things about coaching. I mean, so many people have, you know, very unique journeys, and mine's no different from others. I mean, I came from humble beginnings. I played Division III football. My first job was in Division III football. You know, after I've been at Ohio State most recently, everybody likes to attach me to that place, and it's a great place, but that's not who I am. You know, I cut my teeth at, as you mentioned, Delaware Valley, West Virginia Wesleyan. There's another one in there, Tiffin University. And then even, you know, I had a chance to go to University of Florida as a graduate assistant. But those were humble days as well.
Those humble beginnings helped Barnes create an immediate connection with the man who would end up becoming his boss, Ryan Silverfield.
You know, he's a small school guy as well. You know, he didn't, you know, his dad's not some famous coach, and, you know, he didn't play NFL football, and, you know, he's a small school guy like myself. You know, he came from humble beginnings as well, and you know, obviously he's ascended to the top of the coaching profession, and rightfully so. I mean, he's outstanding at what he does. So just very thankful to have an opportunity to be here, and you know, you don't feel like you work for him, you feel like you work with Ryan, and that's, you know, that's pretty special in this day and age.
Something else pretty special about this gig for Barnes, for the first time in his coaching career, he gets to call himself a defensive coordinator.
You know, the first time I met with our players was at the end of January, and before we did any defense, we talked about culture and you know, what it meant to you know, to love one another and play for that love. So I think we've got a strong culture, one of our program, but sort of our own unique identity within the defensive room, and that's been the coolest part for me is, you know, not just calling the plays on Saturday, but, you know, being able to build it the right way and you know, sort of have your finger more so on the culture that you want to establish for your defense and those types of things.
Barnes says his defense will be built on grit, something that can likely be traced back to his time coaching special teams at Florida, Maryland, and Ohio State. Coaching the third phase of the game may be the most important piece of his journey here.
You know, before I was involved on special teams, I think I was a very average coach. And if I'm above average now, it's because of, you know, learning all the techniques it takes to play football through the eyes of special teams. You know, nobody will ever convince me that, you know, running down on kickoff is any different than blitzing. You know, creating contact is creating contact, avoiding contact is avoiding contact, and you know, those concepts hold true whether offense, defense, or kicking game.
Even after spending the last 10 years at some of the most prestigious Power 5 schools in the country, Barnes has some extremely high praise for the staff surrounding him in the 901.
You know, for me, I like opinions. You know, I like to take in, you know, everyone's opinion. We have a room full of brilliant defensive-minded coaches, and that's our full-time position coaches as well as our support staff members, and I can name every one of them to you in what they do, but I just sum it up to say it's the best group of defensive minds that I've ever been a part of, and I've been, as you mentioned, some pretty cool places, and we've got by far the best group of minds here. And we've got an awesome offensive staff as well. I mean, you can ask those guys, there's not a day that goes by where I'm not trying to pick Tim Cramsey's brain or Jim Bridges' brain, you know, Dave Deal, you know, longtime NFL offensive lineman, and Coach Silverfield, longtime offensive line coach. So, you know, I look at my job is to look at how many, you know, what are all of the opinions and viable solutions, and ultimately pick the best one for our defense.
There you go, Spence. Yeah. Hank. Here you go, Hank.
And if you haven't figured it out by now, the man tasked with turning around the Tigers defense eats, breathes, and sleeps the game.
You will get me at face value, and I love this game. I mean, I love it. It's the first thing I think about when I wake up, and it's the last thing I think about when I go to sleep, you know, but for kissing my wife and my son, you know. So I'm obsessed, and I think they tell you they know I love football.
You have said your words about your defensive coordinator, Matt Barnes. This was love at first sight. How did you choose Matt Barnes?
Yeah, I think, you know, part of the interview process, sat down like this up in the facility and had the ability to sit down with 6 other candidates, but he was one of the guys I was able to meet with face to face and really just you love the plan he had in place. You loved his passion for the game. Anybody that's been around him understands he is completely a football guy. I mean, he loves it. He eats it up. He's huge on X's and O's, has a great understanding of schemes and the history of the game. And then you put that together with his passion and his ability to relate to players. I was like, this is a home run hire. So, I always say it's like dating. Usually within the first 5 minutes, you have an idea, is this one going to work or not? I sat down with some guys, interviewed, and 5 minutes in, I said, okay, well, let me just buy some time as this thing goes on. With him, I was on the edge of my seat saying, keep talking, keep talking, keep talking. This is great. And, when I find myself writing down a bunch of notes when you're interviewing somebody, you say, man, this is somebody that I have to have on my staff, and Matt Barnes was that.
And when you look at Matt Barnes, of course, he comes to Memphis from Ohio State. You think Ohio State to Memphis, why make that move? But this is an opportunity for him, but it's really an opportunity for you to show that you can get people from programs like that.
Yeah, I think that speaks volumes about the University of Memphis, right? The city. He's one of those guys that had been here before in the city. He's like, man, this is a great place I want to be. The opportunity also to be able to be a full-time defensive play caller at a great university and a great football program. And him and I hit it off and gelled, and it was like one of these things. He's like, man, I can't wait to get to work. This is exciting. Obviously, as him and I had discussions, they were actually getting ready for the Rose Bowl. But yeah, I mean, he was one of those. It's like, this is a no-brainer, and it's been huge. He'll have a lot of success here.
I was struck by his emotion. When he was asked about getting the chance to be a DC, he got choked up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the passion. And our players see the genuine love he has for the game, the care for them, the care to have success here. And anybody that's passionate about, right, you absolutely have no doubt that they're going to have success. And the way he puts his mind and heart into this thing, into our players, into this program, it's exactly what you want. He's truly all in.
Up next is a regional rivalry game. We take a look at Arkansas State. That's coming up next.
You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone. Let's take a look at the AutoZone road ahead.
Here comes the home opener. Here comes a very familiar opponent, and Arkansas State.
Yeah, it's good to be able to get back home to our place, Simmons Bank, Liberty Stadium, in front of our home crowd. I mean, there's nothing better than being home, right? Obviously, I wish we were home a little bit sooner in the season, but that's the nature of the way the schedule called it. A familiar opponent not too far down the road. Obviously, we got a little series going on with them. Excited to be back in a home opener.
And having them here in Memphis after going up there last year, that game, it looked like a blowout at the beginning, but it got kind of close at the end.
Yeah, and that's the way those things are. Some of those regional rivalries, right? It's never over to that final whistle. There's some familiarity, obviously similar recruiting style with some of the guys in this region. We know some of their players, they know some of ours, but more than anything, we're excited to get them here, play the Red Wolves in our stadium.
Some of those kids have chips on their shoulders because they might have wanted to come here.
Yeah, and that's the nature of it, absolutely. And we know that we're going to get their best effort down in and down out. It'll be an exciting atmosphere. I know our crowd's going to show up and show out.
That was tonight's AutoZone Road Ahead. AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination and official sponsor of Tiger Athletics. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jonesboro is only 74 miles away, and with the closeness of these games, it's almost become a backyard brawl. We'll put a wrap on this one in just a minute.
You're watching The Ryan Silverfield Show, presented by AutoZone.
3 weeks in the books, and next week we'll talk about North Texas. They will be the newest member of the American Athletic Conference. Have a great week, everybody.
The Ryan Silverfield Show is presented by AutoZone. Next time you need a car battery, just pick it up. Visit AutoZone.com and select same-day store pickup. Just one reason why AutoZone is America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And by Conway Services, official HVAC partner of Tiger Athletics. Chick-fil-A, we didn't invent the chicken, just the chicken sandwich. RJ Young, technology solutions that power your business. Tennessee Lottery, turning dollars into dreams. This copyrighted telecast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield under the broadcasting rights granted by the University of Memphis. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the expressed written consent of the University of Memphis and Learfield.